All right, we want to turn now to a witness, Erin Autenreith. She was also at the rally last night. She joins us on the phone this morning. Erin, good morning to you. We're glad that you're okay. Can you tell us what you saw, what you heard?
Good morning. I was seated in the first row in the middle. I was directly facing President Trump. And the stage had, the photographers were in front of him, and they had taken their pictures, and they moved them over to his left. And he was speaking, and he put a video, not a video, but a picture up, and we were looking at the picture, and all of a sudden, we heard pop, pop, pop. We all thought it was fireworks. Then I looked at him, and the four Secret Service jumped on the stage and pushed him straight down. Then they also pushed down all the photographers that were down there. There was like a pile of them. Nobody was moving for a couple minutes. Then the gentleman came on that have the big guns and the black on. They started saying, clear right, clear left. Okay, on three, stand him up. So 1, 2, 3, they stood him up. He was facing me, and his eyes were bright. I knew that he was okay, but there was a little bit of blood coming here. Then they turned him. He exited the stage down the steps, opposite of how he had entered, and that's when I could see the right ear. And I could see the blood from the top to the bottom, but at that point it wasn't gushing. It wasn't as much as by the time he got him to the steps, that picture, he had a lot more blood. So that's when the first time we knew that there must have been a shooter. And then they put him into the black sedan, and it immediately went off, and then they started. When the photographers were still in this hump, and I was thinking, man, they must have been shot too. But then little by little, they started lifting them up. But the interesting thing was nobody panicked. Nobody ran. Nobody in that first row even took cover. It seemed like everybody was just wanted to protect the president. And I think we all knew that that's what the shooter was after. Now, I didn't think it was a shooting until I saw the gentleman who had spoken earlier in the day, Rico Elmore, he's from Beaver County on their committee. I saw him exiting down the steps where it was the riser, and I saw he had a white shirt on, and down the right side of the shirt was all covered with blood. Now, he was walking, so I knew he wasn't shot, but somebody in his vicinity must have been.
Yeah.
That was the first indication that there was a shooting.
So, Erin, now that we know the president is injured but safe, the questions are being raised about how this could have happened. And there's been some reporting and some eyewitness accounts that some people in the crowd at the rally last night actually saw this gunman on that structure about 150 yards away. Did you have any sense that there was someone on that building? Did you hear any of those shouts from the crowd?
No, I did not, because I was way up front and I was on the ground. I was on the floor level. The ground level. I did not hear that. We did see, behind President Trump, there was a roof, and we did see two sharpshooters on that roof, which I think I was told that the guy behind me saw him shoot towards the other roof, which was off the fairgrounds. And particularly, this was my 6th rally. So by the time I saw them on the roof, I knew that President Trump was coming because the sharpshooters were positioned. And they had the guns were really pointed that way, to that side.
Erin, you were right there in the front row. I mean, you were just feet away. I know you were
I had sent the picture that I had taken from my seat, and there's nobody between me and President Trump.
I mean, so, and I know you were one of the first people there to get in position for the rally in the morning.
I volunteered. I was there 20 to 7 in the morning.
We're showing the picture you took right here. We're actually showing it on our air. I just wonder how you're doing and what you make of this. It's such an awful occurrence that you witnessed. And of course, we cannot forget a spectator was killed right in that moment.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to explain because you never had it before, that feeling.
Yeah.
It's almost a little bit like time stopped, until I thought, when he was down underneath the podium, I mean, I really didn't know if he was going to ever come back up. That was just, I would just say, like the heartbreaking. That's where my mind was just focused. And I think most of the people in the audience, that's where they were, because, abruptly everything came to a halt.
Erin, I'm curious.
And the last person I had seen come onto the stage right before President Trump was at Dan Scavino. He was seated to the left of President Trump, closest to him on the floor there. I don't know. I don't know. He must have exited the other way. I never saw that after that, but I remember telling the people I was with that, oh, that was Dan Scavino, because I follow, things quite.
Yeah, Dan Scavino, an advisor to the former president, a close advisor to his campaign. So, Erin, I'm curious how you felt as a supporter of Donald Trump. As you said, you got there early on the front row. When he got up and it became clear that he was safe, injured but safe, and pumped his fist to you all, how did that make you feel?
I was very relieved, because when I saw the blood here, but it was just a little bit, I thought he was injured by being pushed down to the ground. Oh, I didn't mention, when he got up, the first thing he said was, they said, lift, and he said, I have to get my shoes on.
Yeah.
Erin.
So they must have fallen off. And I thought that's when I didn't think that he was injured. I thought he got injured just by them pushing him down. Then I had no idea that it was a bullet until I saw that gentleman that had the blood on his shirt. That was the first sign.
Well, Erin, you've been through so much.
And it sounded really
you've seen so much. Sorry, what were you going to say?
People in the audience on the way out, were saying the fact that it sounded so much like fireworks, it must have been a suppressor on that weapon.
A lot of people said that. So close to 4th of July, that's what it sounded like, especially at that distance.
Like maybe a neighbor, because it was kind of, there's houses not that far away. I thought somebody was having a party.
Yeah.
But then everything just stopped. I guess I thought it was 5 minutes into the speech, but I think now it was 10 minutes into the speech.
Well, Erin, as you said, time stops when you witness something like that. Thank you for your time this morning, for sharing your perspective. We're glad you're okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Erin.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't miss the Today Show every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific on our streaming channel, Today All Day. To watch, head to today.com/allday or click the link right here.